Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Last time I checked, your segment passed the number of 6,000 views and still counting. That's amazing. Did you expect it?
No, not whatsoever. All I did was just show the reality on the ground. I didn't have any hope or expectation. My job is to show what the people who sent me wanted to see, which was just reality and without any spin.
I'm curious, what kind of comments did you get after you published that segment?
I'd say that it's split right down the middle. Half of the people who I would identify as shocked supporters. The other half were what I would call pro-Palestinian Islamic apologists who have made threats, who have called me names, and said that I endeavored to portray some sort of a political slant. So I'd say it's pretty much down the middle.
I saw, of course, the segment, and unlike you said there, a lot of the Palestinians can't enter Israel. They need a special permission from Israel to go abroad also. I'm not saying they're right, but they depend on Israel. It is not easy to be a Palestinian, you know.
I understand that, and I think that Israel has created certain security measures, not preemptively. They're a response, and not just to illegal workers, but to very serious threats that have claimed the lives of Israeli citizens, including children. They're dealing with forces, both within the West Bank and in Gaza as well, that have resorted to asymmetrical warfare of shooting things like grenades out of apartment buildings where civilians live. The measures that the Israeli government have put in place were not to make Palestinian lives difficult. It was a response to protect Israeli lives.
Let's talk about us, about Israel. It is far, of course, from being perfect, I know it, but it is also disproportionate, the number of resolutions and condemnations in the UN and in the Security Council against Israel. How do you explain it?
Today, the United Nations that we face is one that has been co-opted by a group that I would call Islamo-globalists. And so what you see is a disproportionate number of resolutions being tabled and brought forward by nations like Saudi Arabia, who lives on the who sits on the United Nations Human Rights Council. These are nations who don't believe in Israel's right to exist, who have strayed away from the United Nations' original mandate.
But there's no lobby in the media, so how do you explain to yourself the very critical media coverage when they deal with Israel?
That's a very difficult question to answer. I will say this, that the presence of non-governmental organizations, many of which are funded by people who have not stood shoulder to shoulder with Israel, these people have their own intentions, and they are frankly haters of a Jew state. I can't tell you the reason for being, because frankly, my head doesn't occupy that space. I don't understand how anyone who loves freedom, who loves democracy, can stand against the only freedom-loving democracy in the Middle East. So the question of why do so many people stand against Israel in the media, I don't know. Maybe some of them don't know the history. Maybe some of them haven't been to Israel. Maybe some of them are just parroting what they think is right. They have been fed. It's a chain. It's not just the media. It's academia, it's politicians, it's non-governmental organizations, it's billionaires like George Soros who have an active interest in portraying Israel as the demon. And I think that there are a lot of journalists who either through lethargy, laziness, or wrong-headedness and misinterpretation of the facts have aligned themselves on the wrong side of history.
So, when is your next visit in Israel?
Not soon enough. I want to go there right away. I miss it already.
So, Ms. Gold, thank you for your warm words, and in our words, Shabbat Shalom, thank you.
Thank you, Danny.